This all started with my friend Eve Masher and I both had the same interest in opening up an adventure playground in New York City. We started running pop-up adventure play events throughout Brooklyn, New York. The Trust for Governors Island heard about us through some of the pop-up adventure play events that we were doing and invited us to use land on Governors Island, which is an island located in the East River just south of Manhattan, between Manhattan and Brooklyn. Because Governors Island is run by the Trust for Governors Island, we are able to have an adventure playground here since the laws on Governors Island are different than those in the public parks. Our permanent space opened at the end of May last spring, and since then we've been free and open to the public on the weekends, and we've been running a 6-week summer camp program.
I think that for a really long time we've seen trends in the other direction, away from play. You know, we've seen the spread of this idea that like work is the only important thing, or that solutions can be bought really quickly and easily, and that works. But at the same time, over the last few years, I've seen a huge change in terms of how many people in this country have heard about these ideas. It's very easy for a lot of adults to think of play as like a nice, fun, pretty thing that happens, but play, it's how children work out and experience every possible human emotion. So a lot of what we do in training is we can observe a situation or evaluate an environment and recognize the things that make us feel uncomfortable, but also have context so that our discomfort is one part of information that we're working from and it's not the whole story. With that context, then, we're able to respond to a situation carefully, deliberately, and not react to it from fear. We can sometimes be taken hostage. That is a good knot, man.
There's a lot of materials you can use here, and it feels nice to make what you want on your own.
Yeah.
It's really, really fun to do lots of things here, free. And it's like my favorite part of being a child.
Kids have been returning weekend after weekend, and we sold out our summer camp. We've been offering something that children in New York City just don't have the opportunity to do otherwise.
Thank you very much. Yoni Kallai, I'm with groundNYC, a small nonprofit, very young also. What we do is provide opportunities, advocate for children to play, and play in the real way of them choosing what they're doing, how they're doing, when, giving them the opportunities to take risks, physical, social, emotional. Our main space is out on Governors Island. You may have seen it. It's called the Junkyard Playground, or an adventure playground. I want to show a little bit, let's see, just a few pictures to illustrate what it looks like. It's bigger. So, Junkyard Playground. There's a lot going on, a lot of mess, a lot of room for the kids to explore things. This is a video, but let's see if will it play any of the videos here. So it's a very raw space, and as play workers, we are working with whatever the children are bringing. I loved hearing about things you're bringing up about really being there with them, and I look at it simply as oppression. Young people's oppression is so much of what's going on, and the kids love being at the playground, and we get a lot of attention because they get to build and they have tools, they have saws and hammers, and people freak out about it, but it's actually not our goal to get them to use tools or anything like that. What we work and strive for is giving them freedom, giving them the opportunity to be in charge of their decisions. If they're not given the opportunity to try, to make mistakes, they're not going to learn how to do it. As play workers, we are there making sure that they have risks to choose out of and not hazards. So that ladder, I'm right there, and I'm also making sure that that ladder is actually in okay shape for them before they come to play with it. But if they want to decide how far up they climb up the ladder, that's their choice. We sometimes are seen as if we're just on the side, but in this case, they were engaged in the play. It was working well. I let them play on their own. Sometimes we intervene when children are starting to fight or they're play fighting, throwing balls at each other, and I can tell that soon it's going to escalate. I might insert myself, offer myself as a target, and suddenly everyone's throwing balls at me instead of throwing at each other, and their game, their play continues without getting to a more problematic space that is harder for us to then manage. In the spring, the comptroller for New York City came out with a report about how bad the situation of playgrounds is in the city. Safety and the number of playgrounds per kid, and they even listed in that the playgrounds NYC housing, which if you walk around the city, you always see those playgrounds empty. So the fact that they count those playgrounds is a bit strange. We, along with other playgrounds, are listed in that report as good examples. Just to be clear, we get no funding from the city. It's all private. We would like to work with the city, but that hasn't happened yet. And it's a different model, but it focuses on people. It was very interesting. Susan talking about the spaces, and I kind of accept that, and I also want to add that so much is important about the people who are there and the approach that we have. So the children love coming to us because they enjoy the freedom, not because of the specific hammer that they got to use or whatever. And we can do this work, and there are many examples in the world where you can do this work not so extreme where people freak out about it. This is too much, liability, all kinds of questions that come up. Still have that same approach, working in schools, after school programs, libraries, and be able to make a big difference in children's lives. So we welcome anyone to kind of get in touch. We want to broaden this approach in children's lives, and it's basically what children are wanting to do all the time, play, especially elementary school ages, which, as was mentioned, in kindergarten, maybe we let them play a little bit, first grade, or maybe already kindergarten, sit, and your whole schedule is very regimented. So this is us, and we'd love to get to know all of you.